Hey guys, and welcome to a video that might end up getting into a bit of a series where you guys come up with a topic for me to discuss and then I go into my thoughts into it on a little bit of depth. So one thing as players I feel we need to do is provide reasonable feedback on game systems and be clear as to what we'd like to see change. So this week I decided to tackle a topic that's reared its head once again on Friday with the introduction of the Primed Regen mod for Sentinels, and that is the issue of Sentinel survivability. Let's be honest, we've all done it, we've all been there. Gone into a sortie mission, no matter what it is, and have our Sentinel die off completely before the mission is done. Removes all the utility and the possible damage from it that it could have been, providing during the mission. So many people have been calling for Sentinels to get a buff to their survivability for quite some time now. So Friday rolls around and we get Primed Regen, plus a buff to Regen itself. One of the problems with Regen in the past was that units like Sapping Ospreys and anything with an Ignis would do constant damage. So as soon as the Sentinel regened, it just got one shot straight away, immediately. To combat this, the Regen mod was given a second of invincibility for each rank the mod had. So you get 11 seconds for the Prime mod, 6 seconds for the standard one, giving you time to kill the enemy that's causing you the problem. Now I am going to say, and immediately say, 11 seconds of invulnerability per regen, 2 extra regens on a Sentinel, is actually a pretty decent mod. I like the mod quite a bit. Honestly, I don't think many people have actually got much of a problem with the mod itself, other than it being a Prime mod, which is a system I've disliked since its introduction, so it's very expensive to max out. The thing I think is the main problem here is that it doesn't really fix the issues, and that people fear that this is it for Sentinel buffs. That D is going to say now, right, the job's done, Sentinels are fine. But the simple fact is that Sentinels aren't fine because of literally one thing. AoE weapons. If you take a Sentinel into a mission where for the first 15 minutes of the survival, for example Selkie on Sedna, you don't get any napalms for the first I think 10 minutes, bombards at 15, but for those first 15 minutes really, unless you're standing in the napalm fire, the Sentinel doesn't get hit at all. It's once those AoE weapons, the Ogris launchers from bombards, mines from Sapping Ospreys, Ignises from Hayaka Masters, torches, and the Scorches, the Toxin Cloud guys that you get in the Infested. Those things are the problems, rather than Sentinel survivability itself. Putting it simply, the crazy AoE damage is what's causing the problem, rather than the enemy fire in general. AoE weapons in Warframe, whether it's in Tenno hands or enemy hands, do absolutely ridiculous amounts of damage. Everyone has stories of a bombard rocket coming out of nowhere, smashing them in the face, one-shots them or their Sentinel, because it happens so often. Corpus Sorties, 200 Sapping Ospreys, overlapping each other, one-shotting everything in sight, Frame, Sentinel, just everything. If I was going to change one thing about the Sentinels, it wouldn't be a straight add hit points. It would be introducing a system that D has been talking about to reduce one-shots in the game, and that is shield gating. Shield gating means that when you've got shield, a shot that is strong enough that it's going to outright kill you, the shield would effectively stop it. It would leave you with no shield, but you'd have all of your health still. If that's a system that's being discussed to come into the game on our Warframes, why not test it on our Sentinels just to test the system? Of course, that would stop Bombards, Kuva Guardians, whatever it is, straight up one-shotting the Sentinels. But you're still going to have to do something with weapons with continuous damage, like Ignis, Sapping Ospreys, the Infested Toxin Cloud. But since we've got fixed damage amounts on something like a Nullifier Bubble, perhaps the principle could be applied to our Sentinels to stop continuous fire weapons from burning straight through our Sentinels immediately. So for example, if it takes too much damage too quickly from something, the shield gating could kick in and give you a little extra time to deal with whatever is killing it. The problem is that I'm starting to come to the conclusion that Sentinels being super squishy to AoE weapons is intentional. Almost like we're being told that the utility of Sentinels is good for lower levels, but if you're going to start going into higher level stuff, you know, your sorties, your Kuva Floods, then we should be considering using or losing some of the utility of the Sentinels for the survivability and ability to revive the Kubros and Kavats. Personally, I don't mind this that much, or I wouldn't if there were a couple of quality of life additions to Kavats and Kubros. Like for example, the ability to call them to heal, so they wouldn't go too far away from you, or that they wouldn't dive into Tarmoa Gloop, or straight into a Napalm Fire, or into your Sapping Ospreys. a little upgrade to their AI so they would recognize things that are a high threat to them, things like what I've just said, and then if they would back off from that, that would be so much nicer, because having to revive something because they've just dived straight into some massive AoE thing is something that is really frustrating. However, from a personal point of view, the fact I lose the utility of vacuum is a big problem for me. Now, I spoke a little bit about this in my Invested Doggo video, but with the colour blindness screwing with the ability to see what ammunition is from a distance, I rely on vacuum to do that for me. This isn't a thing about being lazy, not wanting to pick up loot. This is something that makes half the weapons in the game viable for me. I'd be forever out of ammo otherwise, or running to shotgun ammo boxes to try and replenish my pistol ammo. And as right now, I feel kind of forced into using Sentinels from a personal point of view, and that's why Sentinel survivability is a thing that really bothers me, especially at higher level, which is where you actually really need that extra ammo. I seem to see a lot of people saying that if you give companions vacuum, so the Kavats and Kubros, you're never going to see Sentinels again, but I honestly don't believe that's going to be true at all. If you check my Infested Charger video, the Infested Doggo video I was just talking about, you will see that there really isn't a lot of room on there to fit a vacuum mod. So you are going to be sacrificing something major to actually put that on there at this point. Sentinels will always be a good option for those that don't want to form a thing 7 times to be able to put a full build on. You're only going to need 2 or 3 at max. The Kubros require so many rank 10 mods. You need so many formers to be able to put a full build on. So why not allow those that want to be able to use vacuum on their companions to have the option? They've invested enough into it and are willing to sacrifice a major mod to be able to do it, so why shouldn't they be able to? It's a tricky situation, of course, because there has to be a reason to use the other companions, right? Otherwise we'd only ever see Sentinels and there wouldn't be a point to using anything else. And I understand that it's a difficult balancing act to do, but it does raise the question, and I'll put this to you guys in the comments. Do you think that both Sentinels and companions should be viable at sortie level? Or do you think it's good that there is this obvious distinction between the two? One's for lower level with a lot of utility, and the other sacrifices a bit of utility for survivability and damage. Honestly, personally, if I had the choice of using companions at a higher level but with vacuum, I wouldn't mind having Sentinels for lower level stuff and companions for higher level. But since I'm effectively forced down the route of Sentinels, then I would like to see Sentinels get their survivability buff. But that's just my opinion, and I would love to hear yours in the comments below. Do you want to see more of these discussion type videos in the future? And if you do, what do you want to see it on? However though, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.